Hi, this is Dino Cazares from Fear Factory, Assassino, and Divine Heresy, and you're watching Sonic Perspectives.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another interview of Sonic Perspectives. I'm Rodrigo, and today I'm chatting with Dino Cazares of Fear Factory. Dino, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're here to talk about Recoded, the new album, which is a reimagination of 2021's Aggression Continuum, and it came out today, October 28th.
Yes.
I bet it feels great to chat on the release date, right?
Yeah, it always feels good when you got something new coming out and that, people get to finally hear it. I've been talking about it for a while now.
Yeah.
Um, and now, it's available to everybody around the world so they can enjoy it.
Yeah, I just had to listen to it this morning. As soon as I woke up, it's amazing.
Thank you, thank you. We haven't put a record out and like this, like a remix record for 25 years. So
Yeah.
it's been a long time. Remanufacture. We kind of started out that way after Soul of a New Machine. We
Mhm.
released Fear is the Mind Killer in 1993, and then in '97 we released Remanufacture, and then we didn't do any remixes for a while. I mean, we did one song here and there, but no, full length EP or a full length album until now. And
Yeah.
I'm really glad that we got to do that again, after all these years. So it's great.
Yeah. And I think back then, some people had an issue with it or didn't like this type of remix. But nowadays, I feel like the fans have embraced it, right?
Yeah, well, back in 1993, when Fears of Mind Killer came out, a lot of people weren't,
Yeah.
exactly sure what to make of it because it was pretty extreme for its time.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to the band's first album, Soul of a New Machine, we were pretty brutal. We were,
Yeah.
a cross between death metal, grindcore, and industrial music, and then we even had the melodic elements in there that people were thrown off. But then all of a sudden, when we released the EP of remixes, it was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And then people just became accustomed to us doing that. So when Remanufacture came out, people were like, okay, we like this about Fear Factory. It's another element that we have.
Yeah.
So it's another extension to the album. And then now Recoded. I'm glad we got to do it again because I remember when we first did the early ones that it really got us into clubs, like different clubs than
Yeah.
than Fear Factory was played. So now it got us into like industrial techno dance clubs, and that was really cool because it opened a whole new door for us. And then when we did Remanufacture in 1997, all of a sudden video game companies started to really
Yeah.
like it. We came out in tons of video games, and it opened a door for us in that market. I kind of like to think that Fear Factory were the pioneers, or at least one of the early bands that really got involved in the video game music industry. Way back, in '97.
Yeah.
Um, and then now, doing this one, it just felt really good. It felt really natural, and I'm glad that all the DJs really, put a lot into it, and I'm happy that's finally out.
Yeah. And I think from a technology standpoint, things are really different from when you first started or from when, the 1997 remix was done, right? For starters, you can
Well,
do it virtually and not necessarily on the same location, right?
yeah, well, obviously things got better and easier in some ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we did. I did it virtually over, Zoom, just like we're talking now. With the DJs and a lot of communication going back and forth.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, we didn't necessarily have to be in the same room together.
Yeah.
Doing this kind of stuff. But yeah, guys like Rhys Fulber, who's been working with the band since for the past, 29, 30 years or something like that. He really got involved in this. He's got four remixes on this, and so does DJ Zardonic, by the way. He's
Yeah.
got four remixes on this album as well. And Rob G, I've known him for a long time. He's been involved into the GABA scene, and the GABA, if people don't know what that is, it's like hardcore like they call it happy hardcore
Uh,
in Rotterdam, in Holland, and it's like that's kind of like
right.
it's kind of like more of that stuff.
Yeah.
And Blush Response, he's worked with us um, since the Industrialist. He's been a part of working with Fear Factory. Blush Response, a guy
Mhm.
named Joey. He's a really, 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 really killer dude. You should follow some of these guys on Instagram because you see a lot of the work that they're doing and a lot of the forward thinking that they're manipulating all these sounds and just
Mhm.
creating all this killer stuff. You should definitely try to give them a follow. But yeah, Blush Response has been working with us for a long time. Um, DJ Zardonic, I reached out to him because I've been a fan of his stuff, and like I said, Rob G, I've known him for a long time, and I'm glad we finally got to work on something together.
Yeah.
Dualized, a guy named Dualized, he's this killer Italian guy, Giuseppe Bassi. He is been working with us since Genexus, so he's been doing programming and stuff like that for a while with us, and yeah, man, it's been cool to work with all these guys. And
So yeah.
well, sorry, another new guy is Tyrant of Death. He's a Canadian guy, based out of Canada, of course.
Yeah.
And Tyrant of Death, would go check him out. He did the Collapse remix. It was really good.
Is that Toronto or not? Because that's where I'm located.
I believe he's in Toronto. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you split the work between all these guys? Because it's a lot for like a handful of tracks, right?
Yeah. Well, I kind of like pick tracks for certain guys. You know what I mean?
Got it.
So,
Uh-huh.
it's like I already know. I mean, I already know Rhys could have did the whole record. You know what I mean? But I wanted to get different guys
Yeah.
to be involved in this project. And
Yeah.
so I kind of like picked which song to go with which guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I kind of like knew these guys' work. What they did and what they were good at, and so
Fair enough.
I sent them certain songs, and it came out great.
Yeah. And so like what kind of involvement do you have in a remix like that? Did these guys have full freedom to do what they wanted, or do you guys is there a
Well,
veto kind of process somehow?
yeah. Well, definitely they had their own freedom to start. You know what I mean? They started and they would send tracks back to me back and forth. And then I would like make my notes. And then we would get out a call or a Zoom call or whatever, FaceTime call. And then we would work on the tracks and we'd go through my ideas of what I think would be cool for a cool structure or what other elements they can throw into the music. And some of the stuff we were doing in real time, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
me and Zardonic were working on, this stuff together, basically on real time, kind of like how we're doing now. And it was really kind of cool because he was able to use this software where I could actually see the whole mixing board
Right.
and see him and talk at the same time. And I'm like, that thing, yeah, do that. And it was really cool. It felt like a real collaboration. So it was
Right.
good.
Right. And I think, well, there's a different approach in writing and putting together a metal song versus putting a techno metal remix like that. The arrangements are different. There's more emphasis on repetition of beats and words in a remix, right?
Yeah.
Where do you start in that process, like to pull apart a song and putting them back together? What's the
Well,
starting point?
yeah, that is basically, a lot of guys usually like to use, the vocals as the main thing.
Mhm.
Like they take, a certain hook from the vocals and then they'll take a certain riff and then they'll start creating a beat around it. Then they start adding their own element to it. There's some songs that are not even recognizable of what they were, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like what's the song? I can't think of the top of my head. It's so early in the morning for me right now. Um,
Worthless?
yeah, Worthless. There you go. That's one of the great tracks.
Yeah.
It's got more of a synthwave vibe to it. And
Yeah.
I basically told Zardonic to like just only use part of the vocals, but mainly just create something out of nothing. And that's
Mhm.
pretty much what he did, and it just sounds amazing.
Yeah. And I hope my metal credentials don't get revoked because I love that song.
Yes,
It's a great pop song.
it's a synth wave, 80s throwback kind of thing.
Yeah.
I can actually see myself, cruising down, the freeway here in LA or cruising by the beach in LA with a, you know, a, a car with no roof on it, just cruising down the beach and just playing, put on the 80s sunglasses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something really fluorescent looking colors, and then just, you know,
Yeah.
something you would see in in an old school 80s movie or something like
Of
that.
course. Panama and then Worthless.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And if,
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
there's also, when another song too is Recoded, the title track, and that's
Yeah.
like you can't even tell really it's the same song.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I had to pick a favorite song of this release, it would have to be "I Am the Night Rider." I think
Yes.
with the dubstep, the catchy chorus, and almost like a Muse feel on certain parts. And maybe because
Yeah.
Muse uses dubstep a lot. I don't know.
Yeah. The Dualized and Zardonic, collaborated on that together.
Mhm.
And then of course, me, adding my structure elements to it, it all worked out really killer.
Yeah. And I feel like Aggression Continuum, where the material was drawn from, is a highlight in the band's career, and it's still fresh in people's minds. What made you decide to remix this album in particular and not one from your back catalog?
Um, just we either never had the time,
Hmm.
the reason why we even had the time was because of COVID. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? A lot of
Yeah.
times, you put a record out, boom, you're on tour, you're traveling the world, and you just don't have the time for a lot of things. But sitting at home, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
record dropped in 2021. We were still in lockdown, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I was like, well, I think we should just work on some remixes, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's exactly what the idea came from.
Yeah.
Just, being at home, like, let's do some remixes. We haven't done it in a long time. Let's do it. And
Yeah.
so that's how it came about. Pretty simple.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in parallel with this album, there's also the whole secrecy with the new singer, which will be announced in a few months. Are you already writing new material with him? It's a
Yes,
him, right? Yeah. Yeah.
yes, we started. Yeah, we started pre-production about a week ago. So right now we're just demoing everything,
Hmm.
and then we'll be recording probably early next year. But then I got to go on tour. We
Yeah.
got to go on tour starting in late February, and we're going to be on tour till at least June. So
Yeah.
probably won't be able to finish the production and sometime until July, and then shortly after that, hopefully get the record out as quickly as possible.
Okay. And of course, you're no stranger to changing band members, but changing a singer is a little more complicated than a bass player, for example, right?
Well, you
I,
want you want to take your time. You want to make sure
yeah.
you find someone that's best fits the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it's not anything new for me. I've started many other bands with other singers,
Hmm.
and I've had to replace singers before, but not in a band like Fear Factory. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely very challenging, and I'm definitely up for the challenge. I understand there's probably going to be some sort of backlash, but there's a backlash
Always.
of everything, right?
Yeah.
There's a backlash for it. So yeah, I'm up for the challenge. I mean, I think it's gonna still. I'm not planning on changing anything. I'm
Hmm.
gonna pretty much keep what Fear Factory is known for, and try to honor the legacy of who we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I wonder what kind of criteria you use because, it has to work from a musical standpoint, the stage presence, the personality needs to gel with the other guys in the band and everything. It's a complicated proposition, right?
Yeah, all the above, especially when you're working with people that you don't know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Especially someone like the singer who I don't know that well. But when I hired him,
Hmm.
I didn't know him that well. Of course, we spent some time together, and we got to know each other and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Of course, yeah, you don't want to make sure you're not making a bad decision. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
this is going to be a long. It's going to be something that's going to last a while. So you want it
Yeah.
to. You know what I mean?
Of
But
course. Yeah.
relationships are relationships. You can't always control how things are going to turn out. You know what I mean? You try your best,
Yeah.
then you put your right foot forward, and you just keep moving.
That makes sense. And I'm hoping for a period of peace within the band after all the lawsuits and lineup changes and all the turmoil and even COVID on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You,
definitely have PTSD about lawsuits.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
of course.
That's
Yeah.
something that's very. I mean, I remember I used to go to my mailbox, and I didn't want to open my mailbox
Of course. What's
because
the menu for today, right? Ah,
exactly it was just so like I
yeah.
literally had the fear of going to my mailbox
Yeah.
and just opening that letter. You know what I mean? Oh boy, here we go. And it
Yeah.
lasted 4 years like that. It was pretty It's pretty hard to deal with, but
Yeah.
hopefully that all that is behind me now, and I could just move forward without any stress of that.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah. And
Exactly.
in parallel with all of that, Divine Heresy was reformed. What are the plans for the band right now?
Well, just to be clear that it's not reformed with old members or nothing like that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
right now the main focus is Fear Factory.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm doing right now because I really got to get this new record out, or new record started. And, people been bugging me for new music, so I got to get this
Yeah.
stuff out there. We're also um, labelless at the moment. We don't have any record company. Fear
Mhm.
Factory doesn't have any new record company right now. We haven't signed any new deals, and we're in the process also of negotiating and evaluating different offers that we have. So
Okay.
that's another thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time. I didn't
Mhm.
realize that this year that our record contract had expired with Nuclear Blast. So,
Yeah.
but they still have the obligation to promote this record, Recoded. So,
Okay.
but now moving forward, we're exploring our options, and it's looking really good.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll get some sort of deal done and being able to get this music out to you as soon as possible.
Okay. And I know you're writing an autobiography as well. I mean,
Ooh,
yeah, that's a lot of work for just one guy.
I know, I know.
Is there a tentative release date at all at this point?
No, not at all. The thing about it is that, the book is going to be so loaded with, um, different stories and things that
Mhm.
happen. You know what I mean? It's going to be pretty difficult. Right now, it's like going through the legalities of what I could say and what I can't say.
Oh, okay.
There's a
Okay.
lot. There's a lot of that stuff.
That's
Yeah.
gonna be a while, I guess.
Yes.
Understood, understood. And as a Brazilian that I am, I can't not ask you about touring with Max Cavalera, with Nailbomb, Soulfly, etc.
Oh, that
Uh,
stuff was a lot of fun.
yeah,
Definitely. When they gave me the call and asked me if I would do it, of course I would do it. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Because who wants to pass up that opportunity to play with the two brothers?
yeah,
These guys are legendary. You know what I mean?
they are.
And
Yeah.
I've known them since 1991 when I first met them, and
Mhm.
we've been friends ever since. And then just getting actually to be in a band with them, it was just like a whole nother level of you know, three legacy guys getting together, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And doing
yeah,
this tour. And it was amazing. I mean, we started in Mexico, we worked all the way down, all the way across, all the way to Brazil.
yeah,
And it was like these shows were killer. And I wish I could do it again.
yeah.
Hopefully someday I will be, but I got a lot of stuff going on right now.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I don't know how much you know about Brazilian music, but every metal band in Brazil, they follow one of these templates. It's either Angra or Sepultura. So these guys are trailblazers for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Angra. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I've seen them quite a few times. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And with all these different projects, initiatives, and touring plans, and the new label being discussed, biography, can I ask if there's any plans for Brujeria right now?
Ooh, that was a conversation that I had yesterday
Uh-huh.
with one of the promoters. I don't know if you know, but I'm currently not touring with the band.
Yeah.
But there was speculation that for me to go back and for
Hmm.
me to possibly tour with the band again. But we'll see. It's like Fear Factory is my number one thing, and that's pretty much what I'm going to be concentrating on. I also would like to complete a new Assassino record as well.
Oh, okay.
So, and
Okay.
I have stuff written for that, but again, finding the time to finish it is going to be a little difficult because of
Yeah.
all the commitments that I have with Fear Factory right now.
Challenging. Understood.
Very
And
challenging. Yes, I would
yeah,
have no days. I would have no hours left in the day for me to, eat
yeah. Or sleep. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
sleep. Yes.
Yeah. And a few years ago, you announced a partnership with the Ormsby Guitars from Perth, Australia.
Yes.
I used to live in Australia, in Perth in particular. But
Wow.
what made you choose them over Ibanez?
Well, when I don't know if you ever heard of the NAMM convention here in Los Angeles. It's
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
a instrument music convention that happens.
Mhm.
Um, every year here in Los Angeles. And so every year, I used to be with Ibanez Guitars for 22 years, for a long time. Yeah. And so I always go walking around the convention. I'd check out other guitars.
Mhm.
And every year, I kept going back to the Ormsby guitars because I just felt that their guitars were, taking things further. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are, very well known for having multi-scale guitars.
Mhm.
Which for some people call them fan fret guitars. And I was really into them, and I'd play them. The neck felt really good, and the body shapes were really good. And I was like, wow, this company's definitely moving forward. And
Yeah.
so when my partnership, expired with Ibanez, I decided to go explore somewhere else. I decided to, go to that company that I always kept going to, and that was Ormsby Guitars.
Right.
So I talked to Perry Ormsby, who was the owner, and
Mhm.
he was like, "We'd love you to come on board." I go, "Let's make a guitar first, and here are the specs, and these are the things I want to do, and blah blah blah." And then, boom, they made me a guitar. They made me one. And I was like, "Wow, this is it!" Boom. And so I went with them, and we currently have, a few of my models that are available now to purchase. So
Right.
if you go to ormsbyguitars.com, you could check them out.
I'll check it out. Yeah, I play left-handed, so I don't know how many options they have for left-handed people, but yeah, I'll give them a look.
Yeah, they make left-handed guitars,
Okay.
but of course it's limited, like a lot of things
Yeah.
are. You know what I mean?
Always, always.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Flip it back. Go put it on the right side. You can do it.
Maybe I'll do that someday. Yeah. It's just not worth it sometimes, I want, like, when Eddie Van Halen passed away, I wanted his model, but a left-handed from Eddie when he passed away, it was like a year and a half waiting time. So yeah.
Yeah, they probably have to make it for you.
Yes, they
You know what
do.
I mean?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And well, finishing off, Fear Factory has a tour with Static X coming up starting
Mhm.
February, I believe.
Yeah,
What are you
February
preparing?
21st.
Yeah, so I guess there will be at least a single coming out before then, right?
Well, that's the thing. If we don't have a record contract signed by
Mhm.
then probably not. Most likely not,
Okay,
because yeah, we're gonna need to have the backing of a record company to do this. So
okay, fair enough. Well, either way, I'm excited because there's a date here in Toronto on March 24th. I can't wait to
yep.
see you guys live.
Yeah, I can't wait to do it. I mean, I can't wait to get back out there. It's been a long time that I got to play these Fear Factory songs live.
Yeah,
I mean, sure, I've jammed with other artists where we play, one of my songs, but still, it's not the same when, it's your band out there playing and,
yeah, yeah.
rocking out in front of the crowd. It's going to be killer. I can't wait.
Of course, yeah. Well, Dino, thank you so much for the interview. I look forward to the next steps of Fear Factory and all your other endeavors.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to, to be able to, talk to everybody out there. And I can't wait to see everybody on the road. Recoded today. It's out now. Please check
Yeah,
it out. Thank you very much.
awesome. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
All right, bye.
Cheers. Bye.